In the quiet moments of human history, from the dawn of time, a universal impulse has guided us. The desire to help others, to uplift communities, and to create positive change. From humble acts of kindness to organized efforts, the spirit of giving has evolved. Over the years, we have seen the power of online platforms transforming the way we connect, engage, and contribute to causes that matter. In this digital age, a new chapter unfolds, introducing social stock exchanges, a revolutionary concept that takes philanthropy and impact investment to a new level, where individuals and institutions come together to invest in social enterprises that drive social and environmental progress.
So, a social enterprise is any enterprise which has creation of social impact as a primary motive. So, be it any type of entity, be it a profit-making entity or be it a non-profit organization, as long as it has creation of social impact as its main objective or main goal, then it will be considered as a social enterprise. The eligibility criteria for any enterprise to be called as a social enterprise is listed under SEBI ICDR regulations, and the eligible activities for any entity or any enterprise to be called as a social enterprise includes activities such as eradication of hunger, eradication of poverty, development of education, development of sports, and there are multiple other activities as listed under SEBI ICDR regulations which an entity can perform to be called as a social enterprise.
This isn't a localized movement, it's a global one. Social stock exchanges are propelling change across borders, industries, and sectors.
The concept of social stock exchange is not new to the world. It was first introduced and adapted by Brazil in 2003, and various countries have also adapted it like Canada, UK, South Africa and Singapore. In India, it was first proposed in 2019 where it is proposed to bring the capital markets closer to the masses. Following this proposal, a working group was formed by SEBI, which has submitted its report, and then a technical group has also submitted its report. After taking all these reports into consideration and public comments, SEBI has approved the framework for social stock exchange, and it has amended all the required regulations like ICDR, LODR and AIF regulations.
So the SEBI's framework for social stock exchange includes 5 modes through which a non-profit organization, non-profit social enterprise can raise its funds. It includes equity, zero coupon, zero principal instruments, raising of funds through social venture funds or social impact funds, raising of funds through donations through mutual fund scheme, and raising of funds through development impact bonds. As on date, the SEBI's regulations, that is ICDR regulations, allow only for the issuance of zero coupon, zero principal instruments and raising of funds through donations from mutual fund scheme, and other modes of funding are yet to be brought under the SEBI's regulations.
Social Impact Fund means an AIF investing in social enterprise. It basically raises funds from public by issuing social units. The return on these social units will not be a financial benefit, but it will be a social impact benefit. And it pools the money, and it in turn invests all these funds in social enterprises.
India is the first country to introduce ZCZPs as a mode of fundraising for social enterprises. ZCZPs are instruments issued by social enterprises. They carry no coupon or interest repayment. There is no repayment of principal amount also on these instruments. The only return an investor can get by investing in social enterprises through ZCZPs is the social impact that this investment creates. So to facilitate this, the definition of securities under Secretaries Contract Regulation Act has been modified to include ZCZPs also. The SEBI norms or the SEBI framework also includes a mode of fundraising for the non-profit social enterprises through development impact funds or development impact bonds. Basically, under the framework, under the structure of development impact bonds, any social venture fund can initially raise funds from the risk investors or the investors who are willing to take risk and invest these funds in social enterprises which are carrying on social ventures. And once the social enterprise meets its objectives or achieves the end result it wanted to achieve, then the impact investors who actually want to impact or invest in the impact can actually invest into the social venture fund, and this social venture fund will use this money to reimburse or repay the amount raised from the risky investors. So, under the mode of fundraising through development impact funds or development impact bond, the final investor or the final donor is assured that the object of such investment has already been achieved.
A not-for-profit organization which intends to raise money from public shall initially register itself on SSC and file a draft fundraising document. This document, it should be made available on the website of SSC as well as the company's website for a period of 21 days for public comments, and the SSC, that is the Social Stock Exchange, shall give its observations within a period of 30 days from the date of filing this document. Upon receipt of the public comments and the observations, the SE shall incorporate all these observations and finally submit the final fundraising document before raising the issue. If you want your enterprise to be categorized as a social enterprise, it has to meet either of the criteria specified by the board. At least 67% of the immediately preceding 3-year average of revenues comes from providing eligible activities to members of the target population. At least 67% of the immediately preceding 3-year average of expenditure has been incurred for providing eligible activities to members of the target population, or members of the target population to whom the eligible activities have been provided constitute at least 67% of the immediately preceding 3-year average of the total customer base and total number of beneficiaries.
So, the SEBI's ICDR regulations and the SEBI's LODR regulations provide for certain disclosure norms that any social enterprise which has listed or registered on a social stock exchange has to follow. This includes annual impact report and statement of utilization of funds. Annual impact report is, as the name suggests, it's an yearly report under which any social entity has to disclose the impact that it has created throughout the year, and this report should be audited by a social auditor. Secondly, the statement of utilization of funds. This is a quarterly disclosure by any social enterprise, and as the name suggests, it includes details of utilization of funds, as in for what purpose the funds were raised for and for what purpose they were utilized. A social entity should disclose all this information to the stock exchange and also maintain a website wherein it publishes all this information periodically. The social impact audit means an assessment of the impact that is created by the social enterprise through execution of its project or execution of its objectives. Impact audit forms one of the major factors behind the success of social stock exchanges because it creates trustworthiness for the investor. A social impact audit should be conducted by a social auditor. This should be conducted annually. The social auditor is any person who holds the qualification criteria as determined by SEBI under ICDR regulations.
An entity need not be a non-profit organization to be qualified as a social enterprise. A for-profit business can also be qualified as social enterprise if it has creation of social impact as its primary goal.
So, any for-profit social enterprise to be eligible to raise funds through the mechanism of a social stock exchange, it should be registered as a company under the Companies Act, and it can raise funds through modes of issuance of equity or debt. A social enterprise, which is a for-profit social enterprise, cannot in any circumstance issue zero coupon, zero principal bonds, that is donation instruments. A for-profit social enterprise can list its securities on main board or SME exchange or innovators platform of the stock exchange. Once these instruments are listed, they are given a different identifier or a tracker by the stock exchange so that the public or the common investors who invest in the securities can identify that this is a social enterprise, this is not a general business entity or a common business entity, but this is a for-profit social enterprise and can take an informed decision. Any for-profit social enterprise which has listed its securities on main board or SME or innovators platform shall also follow the disclosure norms and social audit norms that are applicable for non-profit social enterprises also. This is in addition to the other disclosure norms as may be specified under other regulations.
Social stock exchanges offer a transformative approach to investing. These exchanges serve as bridges connecting the dreams of social enterprises with the capital of impact-driven investors. Thank you for watching. Do subscribe to Virtual Law for more such informative videos.